I am Jim.
Cut it out! It ain't funny!
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel.
We do have a video of him with his nips out.
Yeah, my tits have been shit this year.
Oh, he's taking it off. So, hello everyone and welcome in to the very first week of the NFL season. It is From the 50 Live. I am your co-host, Zook. As we get going, I see we are live on TikTok. Somebody commented, which means I started the stream correctly. So, if you guys are noticing that it looks a little bit differently this week, that's because it is. We are not in Weber's studio like we normally would be. So, and TJ commented on it. And the reason for that, I'm going to get it started right off the rip, is because TJ is going to become a father. So he and his wife, they went into labor late last night, about 3:30 in the morning. And luckily I was up anyways because I was doing work for Pro Football Focus. So I received the message. We have been testing things the last couple of weeks anyways, trying to make sure that we have everything in order for the show because we thought there was a good possibility that I was going to have to host it one way or another, and that has come to fruition here in week one. We thought maybe Baby Weber was going to wait till after the games on Sunday, but that's not how it worked out. And if you're wondering, hey, where's the rest of the guys? I'm just now realizing maybe how embarrassing this is for me to say, but they've all got interesting shit going on. And so I was the only one that was able to make it here to host the show this week. So I don't know if that's good on me or if that's a bad thing. And I already see we've got the fantasy questions rolling in. I'm going to get to as many of those as I possibly can. I'll try to look things up on my laptop, guys. Obviously, I'm going live on the TikTok here, so I'll need to pull up the NFL schedule, and why don't I do that really fast? So, as we get going here into week one, how it's going to work is we will talk about some fantasy stuff. We'll do a lot of, start sits, and we can kind of talk about that with you guys. Then we'll go into the picks ultimately and might give a couple takes on some storylines as we get rolling. So I see a couple here that I'll just go ahead and answer. Dalvin Cook or Ramondre Stevenson. I saw Ramondre Stevenson was questionable with an illness, but that he's expected to play. So I think Ramondre Stevenson, I'd go him over Dalvin Cook with the potential workload. I see that Dalvin Cook with Breece Hall practicing fully, he's going to play full go on Monday. I think they're going to cap both of their reps, so therefore I think that caps both of their use in fantasy. They're each going to have ceilings, so I would go with Ramondre Stevenson. P. Ryan or Deion Jackson, I'd go Deion Jackson there. Gabe or Hollywood. I actually have both of them on my bench also. I would take Gabe Davis until you see what that Cardinals offense looks like because they're expected to start Josh Dobbs. No, I know they're between he and Clayton Tune, but Josh Dobbs is going to start. I don't love the outlook for that offense, so I would go there and take my chances with Gabe Davis. You know, he's kind of a boom or bust guy, but I'd at least take my chances with Gabe Davis maybe having one of those big games. So, by the way, guys, if you don't know who I am, my name's Zook. I co-host the show with TJ Weber on Sundays in the fall. I'm not really part of Weber Bets, but I've been doing the football show with TJ for a really long time. We've been doing this since I think 2018 was the first year we did it. So, excited to be here. And excited to have you guys with us for another year. We are so excited about this year. Couple more, Mike Evans or Amari Cooper. I'd go Mike Evans. Yeah, I mean, Minnesota defense that was really bad last year and actually lost a couple veterans in the secondary. And then Pickens or Jordan Addison. I'd go Jordan Addison. Oh, man. That's a tough one, man. I think you can make an argument from both, but I'd probably go Jordan Addison. Jamal Williams or James Conner. I'd go Jamal Williams just for the simple fact of, and I have Jamal Williams on my fantasy team. So, like, if you took Jamal Williams, right, in like the 8th, 9th round, whatever it is, you drafted him with the intent that he was going to provide you this great value for the first 3 weeks of the season, no? While Kamara's suspended. That's probably the primary reason you took him. So why would you take him then if you're not going to play him the first 3 weeks? That's when his value's highest. Independent of that, James Conner's going against the Washington Commanders, who has a very good front with Deron Payne and some of the bodies that they have up front. I know Chase Young's not going to play in that game, but they have a very good front seven. So I would go Jamal Williams anyways. And then Kyle Pitts versus Isaiah Likely. I would go Kyle Pitts. And you, senior silly pants, you are, unless you play in like a deep league and drafted Isaiah Likely, you are a jerk from taking Isaiah Likely off the waiver wire from whoever lost Mark Andrews earlier this week. That was me. So I'm actually going to see if I can, all right. I'm going to take a better look at the comments here. Zay Flowers or Deontay Johnson? I'd go Deontay Johnson. I think Ravens passing offense, outside of the trusted guys, I would kind of wait and see on the Ravens pass catchers. They've got a lot of them. Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, not to mention Rashad Bateman, who they took in the second round a couple of seasons ago. I would kind of wait and see. Gavin, and same thing, like OBJ or D-Hop. Like D-Hop, at least we know, right? Number one target there in the passing game with the Titans. And, you could say the same thing maybe about OBJ, but like, does he step into that number one wide receiver role and get the target share right off the rip from day one? I think it definitely helps that Mark Andrews is out. He's their top pass catcher normally. So I think OBJ probably sees some more run. That's a pretty tough one too, but I think I would lean D-Hop, especially if they get close to the end zone. I feel like these teams, if they've got a new signing, they try to scheme some things up for him in week one to get him on the right start, especially a guy like D-Hop that his patience wore thin in Arizona. They want to keep him happy and feed him early on, would be my guess. Isaiah Likely or Freiermuth. I'd actually go Likely in that scenario. Likely, when I was doing some research when Andrews was out, actually was very good as kind of the only tight end going in that offense. So I would give that a shot, especially with a Freiermuth. I think is kind of a low volume guy. The passing offense for Pittsburgh should be a lot better, but the problem with them so far, I think, is just the volume. A lot of mouths to feed. Oh, do I keep skipping you, Scott? Throw it in there one more time, brother. This is my first time kind of hosting it and looking at the comments all by myself. Normally we have TJ's eyes, Tolly's eyes, and Big Web. They're all looking at the screen. So Dotson or Ayuk. Man, that's a tough one. I think I'd go Brandon Ayuk, although I wouldn't kill you if you started Dotson in that spot. The Commanders are another offense. Like, let's just maybe wait and give Sam Howell a week. Like, what's it look like? So Dotson had an awesome year when healthy last season, touchdown machine, but none of that was with Sam Howell under center. Now, I think the hope for Commanders fans is that Sam Howell is actually better than Sam Howell's actually better than their quarterbacks last year. But I just wait a week and see on that one. So, Dalvin Cook or Deion Jackson. Now, that's one I'd go Dalvin. I took instead of Dalvin Cook, I think I took somebody else earlier in a flex conversation. But, dude, the Colts' offensive line and run game last year was horrendous. So, I'm going to scroll up here. Mostert or T. Higgins? T. Higgins, bro. And how are you even considering benching T. Higgins? What kind of are you, 8-man league? How'd you get all those guys? Herbert or Tua for Superflex? Herbert, man. Herbert. I'm starting him in a 1 QB league. Dameon Pierce or Chris Godwin, half PPR. Ooh, Dameon Pierce. Try to go through a little faster here. Cooks or Addison? I'd go Addison. You know what? One thing I think that's interesting about the whole Jordan Addison thing, there's a lot of hype on him, right? I wouldn't count out KJ Osborne, especially early, like month of September, month of October. Osborne's been in that system. He's been in Kevin O'Connell's offense for a little while. Like, I would not discount. I wouldn't immediately think, yeah, Jordan Addison, wide out too. In the future, for sure. Like, moving forward, for sure. Right now, at this point in time as we sit, yeah, I don't think so. Jimmy Craig, he wants it rapid fire. Isaiah or Njoku. I'm guessing that's Isaiah Likely. Ayuk or Van Jefferson. I take Van Jefferson just because of the volume. Waller, Pitts, Waller. Kmet or Likely. You know what? I'm a Packers fan. Packers can't cover anybody, so I'll admit this is biased, but I'd start Kmet. Mostert or Kirk, PPR. Kirk, I love Christian Kirk. Kind of a boomer bust guy, but, you know, on the big weeks, man, you don't want to have him sitting on your bench. Likely or Ferguson. Am I stupid? Who is Ferguson? I feel like I know a lot of NFL guys. I don't know who Ferguson is. Likely or Jawan Johnson. I'll take Jawan Johnson. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do here is go a little bit. I'm going to take a little quick break from the fantasy questions for just a minute. Talk a little bit about some of these games coming up. And maybe go through sort of some season-long predictions. Oh, Cowboys tight end. Yes, good call. I would go Likely in that scenario. A lot of these new pieces at tight end and stuff, they do not start super fast. I know Ferguson's not like a totally new piece, but it's kind of his first time as the one. So, all right, last one here. Pierce or Jamal Williams. I would go Dameon Pierce in that scenario. Pierce, I did a game for Pro Football Focus where I did the Texans preseason game, and I got to tell you, man, I think the Texans are going to be a little bit better than people think, especially with D'Amico Ryans, man. I think that they're going to be competitive. Stroud looked like okay, and I wasn't the biggest Stroud guy coming out of college, but he looked okay. So yeah, go ahead and fire up Dameon Pierce with some confidence, man. He looked good in the preseason. I gave up Allen, Diggs, and Bijan for Mahomes and JJ. Is that good? Well, okay, you probably took Bijan first round, Diggs second, Allen third, and then he probably went 1-2 with JJ and Mahomes would be my guess. So you just gave him essentially an extra, like your third round pick, which was Allen. I don't know, man. Obviously, you got the best quarterback and the best receiver in the NFL. So, like, I wouldn't say it's bad. But you did give up a wideout one in Diggs. What we think is a running back one in Bijan Robinson. And then what a lot of people think is the best quarterback in fantasy this year in Josh Allen. So, I think, though, like, one thing you obviously sold short on, Ant, was Bijan Robinson, right? Like, if you think Bijan Robinson's a top 5 running back, then maybe that's not the best value. But if you don't think that he is, if you're a little worried about him or think the Falcons might just suck and he's going to average like 3 yards a carry and score 4 touchdowns this season, then maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. So I wanted to get to some of these games, maybe do some season-long predictions since this is week 1. That's sort of a tradition we do here on From the 50. And again, we're presented by SeatGeek. You can catch us on YouTube. We also have a podcast feed. So please go follow us and subscribe there if you guys are enjoying the show. Again, my name is Zach Zook. I'm filling in for TJ Weber. Normally, we're in the studio. We've got 4 or 5 guys, but our producer, Nick Tolley, is actually out at his real job running soccer events for Lindenwood University, which is a school a lot of us kind of met through working in athletics down here in the St. Louis area. So he's out. TJ Weber Betts, as you guys know him, is literally having a child with his wife as we speak. Well, he's not actually having the child. Obviously, Laura's doing, his wife is doing all the hard work there. So he, though, is out because for obvious reasons. And then Nick Yale it was unable to make it. He was actually at the Alabama-Texas game in Tuscaloosa last night. So they were on like the bus and didn't get home till like 6:30 in the morning. So without further ado, in the noon slate, we've got Carolina and Atlanta, Arizona and Washington, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Houston at Baltimore, Jacksonville at Indy, San Fran at Pitt, Tampa at Minnesota, Tennessee at New Orleans. Man, I always feel like this happens every year. We're so excited for those noon kickoffs, at least at Central Time. We're so excited for those noon kickoffs. And then they hit and you're like, man, all of the like a lot of these like teams kind of stink. Like I don't know, like there's no like banger games in the noon window. Obviously, I'm a Packers fan. I can't wait to see the Packers and Bears play at 3:30. It's Packers at Bears. Rams at Seattle, Vegas at Denver, Miami at Chargers, and Eagles at Patriots. That's going to be a good one. And then the Sunday night game, Dallas at Giants. Also can't wait for Monday. You've got the Jets and the Bills. I think the one I'm probably going to be keeping an eye on the most at the noon window is the San Fran and Pittsburgh game. I think that's two potential playoff teams. Now, uphill battle for Pittsburgh, right? They play in probably one of the best divisions in football this season. I think they're better than the Browns, but Baltimore has aspirations of making it back, and so does the Bengals are obviously kind of at the top. So while we're kind of taking a break from answering fantasy questions here, throw down your sort of fandom and what you're expecting from your squad this fall below in the comments. I'm really interested to see how optimistic you guys are feeling about your squads. I'm a Packers fan. We're entering a new era, right, with Jordan Love, and it might not look pretty. So I'm preparing myself for all outcomes. I'm just hoping that the Packers beat the Bears, even if we finish like 7-10. If we can beat the Bears, it'll be a success. Brian, Weber Betts is, and the other guys are tied up. Weber Betts is literally having a child. He and his wife, they went into labor at like 3:30 in the morning. So I'm hosting the show today, and the other guys are tied up with work. So they are unavailable. So you guys are stuck with me today. I guess I'm the only not cool one that's not busy at 10:30 on a Sunday morning. Pick 2, Dotson, Mostert, or Christian Kirk. I'll go ahead and say Mostert and Christian Kirk. Sup, Brian? TJ's. Yeah, Brian, I know, right? So I'm like wondering, and I know obviously that they're getting close, right? And that the baby could come at any time. So I didn't talk to him at all on Thursday. But a little anecdote here for you guys on the show is I'm sitting there watching the Lions game, and I haven't heard from him. I haven't seen him tweet or anything during the game. And I thought, well, I feel like if he was watching the game, he would have like been active on social, and he wasn't. So I'm like, I wonder like if they're at the hospital. And then I see him like make a video celebrating the Lions victory after. I'm like, so he was watching it. He was just deathly afraid that the Chiefs were going to come back and break his heart at the end. So, all right, do two more. I keep saying I'm going to take a break from it. Kittle or Kittle, man. Kittle. T-Law or Herbert. Man, I know like everybody's kind of got them ranked like real close together. I like Herbert. I guess the fantasy kind of experts are down on him. I noticed his projection's a little down this week. I still like him, man. I think with Kellen Moore, they're going to have a big year. Sanders or Drake London? I'd go Miles Sanders. I think you can fire him up with some confidence. He's not going to get a ton of pass catching work. Chuba Hubbard, I think, is going to be the main guy on third down. But yeah, I kind of like Sanders this year. Higbee. Oh, somebody doesn't agree with me. They think Higbee. Yeah. Do you on that one? Debo or Godwin? I'd go Debo. Dulcich or Everett? Oh, that's a tough one. That's unfortunate that you're having to decide between those two guys week one. I'd go Dulcich. Dulcich had some big games in his rookie season. I think he's gonna have a better year. I'd fire up Dulcich today. Bijan, Brian Robinson, or Javonte Williams? Bijan, brother. Higbee or Waller? Waller, man. Waller's gonna play. I know he popped up on the injury report later. They said that it's no worries there. Brian says he's already drinking, ready for this Cowboys win. I hope you're right, Brian. I hope you're right, man. I took CeeDee Lamb in the second round, so I hope he has a big night tonight, brother. Mike McCarthy, my ex-Packers head coach, calling all the plays. Hope you guys are still as good offensively as you were last year. So, Evans or Lockett? I'd go Mike Evans against the Vikings defense. I know there's a lot of like pessimism around the Bucs receivers this year, but I'd I'd roll with it till they prove to you that it's going to be really bad. I mean, Baker's not great, right? But like, I think he's a little bit better than your run-of-the-mill backup. Like, I'd certainly feel more confident in my fantasy like pass catchers with Baker Mayfield at the quarterback spot instead of like Clayton Tune or like Josh Dobbs, right? So like, I think there's levels. Isaiah Likely or Darren Waller. Darren Waller. Juju or Van Jefferson. You know what? Man, call me an optimist. I kind of like Van Jefferson a little bit today. I don't love Juju season long. I'll just say that in the Pats offense. But that said, he catches a lot of his balls around the line of scrimmage. Like that kind of fits like what Mac Jones and Bill Belichick, the Patriots, sort of passing scheme, especially post Brady. So I'd go Sutton today, Diego, over DeAndre Hopkins. Jerry Jeudy not going to play today, doesn't look like, so he's going to be the top target. All right, I want to kind of like run through the divisions real fast. I want you guys to shout out. I know we're getting a lot of fantasy questions. Shout out your expectations for your team below. Like, do you think they're going to make the playoffs? Do you think that they are going to be division winners? Do you expect them to make the conference championship, the Super Bowl? Like, what are the expectations? And don't be an insane person. Don't tell me the Houston Texans are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm interested, though, to see what your guys' thoughts are on your teams headed into the year. Because I think, like, as a Packers fan, like, realistically, I think if they could go, like 9-8, I think you'd have to be pretty happy with that. Like in Jordan Love, like, looks good. Like, I think that's, like, best-case scenario for the Packers this year. Vikings 12-4. Well, they play that 17th game, so like 12-5, 13-4. Yeah, I think that's totally realistic. I mean, I think the one thing, should you start Kittle? Yeah, dude. I mean, unless there's something I haven't heard of, I think he's gonna play. If he's playing, start him. Bills choking playoffs again. Oh man. Yes, Tommy, start Kittle, bro. 49ers, good shot at Super Bowl. Yeah, dude, I think the 49ers have to be, and I haven't checked like the books or anything, Johnny. Are they the betting favorite to come out of the NFC, or is it the Eagles still? I think like them or the Eagles 1-2 are probably the betting favorites, no? I mean, it's just so hard to get back-to-back years, like unless you're the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Like, I know the Eagles made it last year, and they should have a really good shot at making it out of the NFC again this year. But like my one hesitation with them is just like, the statistics and history would tell you that they're not going to make it back. Should I pick up a new kicker if I have M. Williams and Eckler? I don't even know what that means. Am I stupid? Mostert or Dotson, full PPR. Ooh. Man, that's a tough one. Full PPR, I'd maybe lean Dotson. But especially with like Devon Achane, like was not going to play, and then now he is. Like I wonder, like I thought Mostert was going to get all the carries early on. I wonder how much that's actually the case. Of course, Jeff Wilson on IR, so you don't have to worry about him. So he's still probably going to get a pretty good workload. But Kyle, Kittle or Pitts? I go. Man, I might go actually Pitts in that one against 49ers on the road against Mike Tomlin. I always feel like those NFC South matchups are track meets. So I like the Falcons. I like that. Take a chance on Kyle Pitts this week. Vikings 17-0 Super Bowl champs. Oh my God. Get out of here, Colby. Devontae Smith or Godwin at flex and full PPR. Devontae Smith. Yeah, that one's pretty easy. Jags or Commanders D. I like Jags D. You know what? Guys, I actually need your advice. So I drafted the Jets defense, right, in fantasy football. So they play on Monday night. I'm in a 10-man league, and they're projected for like 4.5 points. I saw that they weren't even ranked in the top 20. I'd go Akers, by the way, and then I'd go Marquise Brown over Lizard. Then I go Mike Williams. But so guys, I have the New York Jets, right, on Monday Night Football, and their defense going. I'm considering picking up the Jags defense to play on the road against the Colts. Now, I always feel like you think, gosh, Colts are going to be horrible. Rookie quarterback making his first start. But those divisional games are always, always, always closer than you think. They're so familiar with each other. And with the Colts being at home too, I'm like, are the Jags, like, I know we think the Jags are going to win the AFC South, but are they really going to just run through the Colts and beat them by 30 points week 1? Like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but, like, do you guys think that I should pick up Jags D to start them over the Jets D, obviously going up against the Bills? I saw last season in both matchups with the Jets, of course, this is the Aaron Rodgers-less Jets, they held their own. I think gave up less than 20 points in both those matchups. But yeah, he says Jags D for sure. All right, so then here's the other question. Here's the reason I've hesitated so far. I haven't done it yet, is because I've already had to drop A-Chain, who was my last pick in the draft. I had to drop him for likely because I had to fill Mark Andrews' spot at tight end, right? So if I pick up another defense, then I've either got to drop Russell Wilson, who's my backup quarterback, or I've got to drop probably Quentin Johnston or like Elijah Mitchell. Those would be like the other two on the chopping block. So like I'm just not sure if I want to like, cut bait on my draft picks that fast for a defense. But let me know what you guys think. And I'm going to go through sort of these divisions and give you guys my thoughts here. So I'm going to go over to standings here and go through the divisions and give you guys kind of my predictions. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get into the picks. Please tell me Colts will be good. Dude, I'm impressed with all the stuff coming out about Anthony Richardson, man. I think you got to, at the very least, be pretty optimistic. I was not big on Richardson out of college. But man, I sure am pretty. I'm not one of those that's gonna sit on my take if I'm wrong, like, and just root for him to suck because I thought he was gonna suck. Like, I hope he's really good. He seems like an awesome guy, and seems like the work ethic and the character is like off the charts. No expert, but you cut Mitchell for the defense. Yeah, I thought about that definitely over like Quentin Johnston, who's more likely to have an impact early, but like, I think Mitchell's going to have an annoying role, especially for Christian McCaffrey owners. Like, he's going to have an annoying role in that offense. Like, they want to keep McCaffrey healthy. I would go Kittle, Koopa, Mixon, Noah. And so, like, I would just, like, I don't want to, like, necessarily give up Mitchell because, especially in the event that McCaffrey goes down, right? He's super valuable. But he's probably not getting picked up off the wire, right? So, like, maybe you can sneak him through a week and then pick him back up. That's probably the better option than... I also thought about dropping Russ. Like, I have Justin Herbert. I'm probably hardly ever going to play Russ. So, I thought about that also. Should I start Terry McLaurin or start Treylon Burks? I would start Terry McLaurin. And then I would also start probably Khalil Herbert going up against the Packers. Against Javonte Williams. They typically struggle on the rush defense. Joe Mixon or Derrick Henry. Like, some of you guys come in here with some of this stuff. Like why are you how are you deciding between these two guys? Or is this like a DFS question? If it's DFS, I think I'd go Derrick Henry. To answer the question. Parlay this week, Cowboys, Bengals, Bills. Brian, are those all money line? I would go Najee. Well, actually, you know what? Shoot, dude. That's a tough one. Like, I would start Najee just because you probably drafted him so high. But yeah, he's going up against probably the best defense in football in San Francisco. And you got Jamal Williams at home. He's going to get all the workload. Yeah, so this guy says, he goes, you should drop Russ because backup QBs are not that useful. Yeah, like, I agree. Like, he would clearly be the best one out there. You got to accept that, like, I probably wouldn't get him back. And I kind of took a second QB to guard against, like, injury. And, like, Herbert finished outside the top 10 last year. So, like, on the off chance that I'm wrong about Justin Herbert, like, it's good to at least have, like a backup policy. Or, like, what if, like, Russ starts killing it with Sean Payton? I also kind of thought that, like, I'll take a little flyer here on backup quarterback. And maybe he finishes like a top 5 QB. Returns back to dropping, the Seahawks days. Turn back the clock, man. Drop, like, 30 fantasy points. Maybe that's a little optimistic, but yeah, man, I'll have to make that decision. I'll let you guys know next week what I end up doing, but I think I am going to try to pick up Jags D. DJ Moore or Deontay Johnson? I would fire up DJ Moore, man. I would fire up DJ Moore. Deontay Johnson is a guy that I always feel like they have him projected for a lot higher than he actually is. I'd go likely over Johnson. What do I think about Deion Jackson? I think that I drafted JT in fantasy football #1 overall last year and had to start Deion Jackson in my freaking lineup a lot more than any sane person should have to. That's what I think about Deion Jackson. I would avoid that backfield at all costs, especially because, like, think about this. They've got Anthony Richardson back there now. So even if they have a little bit more success running the football, how much of that production, like just on the aggregate, the team rushing offense, how much of that does Richardson take from the backs, especially down in the red area? Like, he probably scores, like, what would you say the over-under is for his rushing touchdowns? 5 if he starts 16, 17 games? J.K. Dobbins or Jamal Williams? I would go Jamal Williams. All right, so let's go through these divisions real fast. I actually, I'm on the fence. Like, Buffalo got shoved around by the Bengals in the playoffs and had a really bitter taste in their mouths. I wanted to pick the Jets with all the Hard Knocks hype and the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I'm going to stick with Buffalo to win the East, though, and take the Jets to make a wild card. And they'll be the team whose fan base is probably going to be complaining, like, why are we the 5 seed when we've got a better record than 2 of the division winners? Like, they're going to be that team this year, would be my guess. In the North, I'm going to go chalk and stay with Cincinnati to win it. But, man, I think that Baltimore and Pittsburgh could both make wild cards. I think that division is so deep. The one team I'm kind of out on is Cleveland. I don't see it. Watson was horrible last year when he came back, and I don't think he's going to be that much better. Like, I was listening to another podcast, and they said, like, if you were going to get better at, like, let's say, like anything in life, like football, but, like, I'm trying to, like, use, like, an analogy. Like, let's say you're, like, playing Call of Duty, and you want to get better at Call of Duty. Like, you can watch, like, Nick Merckx, right? Like, on YouTube. But at a certain point, like, you're only going to get better at Call of Duty by playing Call of Duty. Like, if you're Deshaun Watson, you're only going to get better at playing football by playing football. And the fact is, he hasn't played a lot of football recently. So, like, until I see it with them, I'm kind of out on the Browns. Akers a buy high target because of Kupp's injury. Well, he'd be a buy low, right? He got a lot of volume when Kupp was out before. Yeah, I mean, no question. Like, I was a believer in Akers' talent out of Florida State. The problem is their line has been so bad. But yeah, you're right, man. Towards the end of last year, they were running the football really well. So yeah, I wouldn't kill you for that. Najee Harris or Khalil Herbert, Waller or Ingram. Waller's questionable, but will suit up. Man, I think that you got to start Waller if he plays. I think it sucks. It's one of my least favorite things in fantasy, but I think it's just something you've got to do. Like, if you've got like a kind of a star player that and I go Najee Harris, HK Prime. I'd go Najee Harris. But like, if you've got a star player that's questionable and then he suits up. Now, if they come out and say, like, might be on a snap count, might not get the full complement of work, like, then I think it's fair to, like, totally bench him. But if they're gonna suit up, I think you've got no choice but to just roll the dice, right? Like, depending on what you've got behind him. Like, there's a guy in our league that took TJ Hawkinson, and then, like, 3 or 4 rounds later took Dallas Goedert. And I was literally thinking about picking Goddard, decided not to because I had Andrews. Thought, what's the use in that? I'll take another shot at a back or a receiver that might actually play for me. Well, now I'm wishing I had Goddard, right? So, like, but yeah, unless like they say that the reps are going to be limited, I think you've got to roll the dice. Goddard going to finish higher than Waller, might be a top 4 tight end. Just watch. Yeah, man. The one thing, like, I love Goddard's talent. But last year, like, wouldn't you agree that, like, the offense couldn't have gone much better, and he didn't do that? So, like, I think what he needs to finish as a top 4 tight end is honestly, like, A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith to, like, not be in the lineup or playing. Like, I think there's too many pass catchers there for him to have the volume to get, like, top 3 at the tight end position, right? Top 4, as you said. Jags D for week 1. Nick, I don't know, like, what time you checked in, brother. I'm having the same conundrum. I think I am going to start the Jags D week 1. Just because, like, even if they do give up some points to Indy, like, are they giving up more than, like, 20, 21 points? I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm a Packers fan. But I do like the Steelers. I'm guessing 90% of the people in this chat probably hate that I am a Green Bay Packers fan. Packers are not a very well-liked team around the league. schedule's a lot tougher, so I'm hoping Eagles throw a lot more this season. Yeah, I mean that's possible. Like, and again, like, I'm really interested to watch that team. I think their defense is going to be outstanding. But like, I think the big question is like, it's part of it's like on Jalen Hurts. Like, he was incredible last year. But like, if you really want to be considered as like that elite tier of quarterback, like you want to be considered and talked about in the same breath as like Mahomes and Joe Burrow. I'd even put them like those younger like guys. Like I put them even a tier ahead of like Herbert right now, just because of what they've accomplished. And you could probably say Hurts is right there too, like, or maybe even above him. But like, if you really want to be considered, like, you've got to do it multiple years. So like, and especially if they took out that play where they can do like the little quarterback sneak, right, and push him, which I kind of think is bullshit. Like, so like you can't stop it. Sorry, like it's not like we've never seen that before. It's just the Eagles were elite at doing it last year. They had a quarterback that could get low, that was athletic, had a powerful leg drive, and they put the backs behind him and they pushed him forward and nobody could stop it. Like, I don't blame like the Eagles coaching staff and like organization for being a little pissed off that they like legislated that play out of the rule book because it was too OP. You know, like I think the reason they did it is because it's boring. Like, it's super boring to watch like 4th and 1 and watch them get it every time doing that stupid little play. But like, I don't know, man. Like, how's that illegal? Like, stop it. You can't. All right, so we'll go back to this, and then we're going to get to the picks. I think Cincinnati's coming out of the North. In the South, I like Jacksonville, and I think the only team you got to watch out for there is Tennessee. I think, obviously, Houston and Indianapolis are, year one rookie quarterbacks, but I don't think it's necessarily a one-team race. I think Tennessee is still going to give Jacksonville like a run for their money in that division. They're not as talented, I don't think, as Jacksonville, but like Mike Vrabel's like a really good coach. So I think they're gonna do well. In the West, I'm gonna take Kansas City. I know they lost to the Lions on Thursday, but I think they're gonna come out of that division. I still think it's gonna be KC, Chargers, then probably Denver and Vegas. I'm not optimistic. Part of the reason the Raiders were one of the teams I was interested to hear where people were at on, because like the Raiders have some talent, but I just don't know how high they can fly, man, in that division with the competition. Like, the Broncos should be improved under Sean Payton. Couldn't have gone much worse for them last year, right? So like, I expect them to do a little better. In the NFC, I am going to go ahead and actually take this will be my first kind of upset pick. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys to win that division. I think the Eagles are going to make the playoffs still, but I think the Cowboys are primed and ready, man. They've got a lot of talent. I think Micah Parsons is going to just have a crazy year in the sack department. And I think, the Eagles are going to take just a little bit of a step back. And you say, nah, bro, Giants. Nick says Giants. Dude, big year for you guys. Like, super tough division, but like, I mean, how nice is it waking up every day knowing Brian Daboll's the head coach of your favorite team, right? That's gotta make you rest pretty easy at night. But like, how do you? And here's the thing. I actually got a question for you, Nick. So, how do you feel about the whole Daniel Jones extension? Because did you have to do it? Like, were you improving off of that? Like, in a year, maybe not. I just feel like maybe we look up in 5 years and he has crazy growth. I've never been the biggest Daniel Jones guy. I'll admit that. But like, I think that your team is just capped at the quarterback position. And because of that, and I think he's fine. I think you can, honestly, I think you can win a Super Bowl with him. Like, if Jimmy G can get to the Super Bowl with San Fran, if you guys put, good pieces around him, like he showed last year, took huge steps forward when it was kind of his contract year, and did a lot. But is he going to continue that improvement, or is he going to kind of plateau where he was last year? Because like, if he plateaus, then I think you've got a problem. But until then, like, I don't know. Like, I kind of disliked the extension at first, but like, the more I think about it, like, I think you just got to let it play out, right? And it's just, I think if you're a Giants fan, it's just a wait and see. Should you start Jamal Williams? Heck yes, brother. I'm starting Jamal Williams today. So, Connor, we can root him on in tandem today, brother. If Niners took Brady a few years ago, they easily win at least one bowl. Yeah, hard to disagree with that. Hard to disagree with that, Cali Pats. And so what I had read too is that they didn't want him. They were not even interested. Like, he wanted to come to the Bay. Obviously he's from around that area, and they said no thanks. And so he went and joined the Bucs, and the rest is history. So yeah, I'll take Dallas in the East in a bit of an upset. I still think that the Eagles are going to make the playoffs as a wild card. I think the Giants have a shot to make it as a wild card also. I think Washington's the team that's out there. I bet you Ron Rivera's unfortunately fired by the end of the year, if not middle of the year. And you know what, man? I swear to God, I had this picked before Thursday, but I'm going with the Detroit Lions to win the North this year. They were the betting favorite. I picked them to win the North last year, and I think that I was a year early on them. I have a tendency to do that. And dude, they look for real on Thursday. I feel confident. The other team I actually waffled on was the Chicago Bears. I'm kind of out on the Vikings. They won so many one-score games. Like, over history, time has shown that if you win all those one-score games, like, you're not going to do that. I think the Vikings are a lot closer to like 10-7 than they are 13-4. And I think Chicago, this is like a big year for them. It's a huge year for Justin Fields, because if he sucks again and they have a top 5 pick, they're taking a quarterback. This is a very quarterback-rich draft with Drake May, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix at Washington. Like, they're all going top 10. And there's even a couple more that could play their way into being top 15, top 20 picks. So, like, this is a huge year for Justin Fields. This is a huge year for Eberflus also. And Ryan Poles. Like, they've put a lot of talent around him. They got DJ Moore in that draft day trade. They made the Claypool trade last year. They still have Darnell Mooney, who should be back and healthy. Khalil Herbert out of Virginia Tech is going to be running the show now at the running back position. And they drafted Rashawn Johnson to play behind him. So, like, this is a huge year for Chicago, man. Like, they need to win some games. So yeah. Michael Thomas or Sutton, full PPR. I'd go Sutton, man. Judy's not going to play, so he's going to get the full complement of work. So yeah, man, I'm going to go to Detroit, but my sleeper there to get into the playoffs is Chicago. In the South, I'm going to stick with my gut and pick the New Orleans Saints to win that division. You know, I think the Panthers are frisky. I think there's a path for them to win that division, honestly. But I love Bryce Young, but I just don't think they have the pieces. I don't think they're quite there. I think they have a really good pass rush. Like, I love Brian Burns. I love the kid from SIU Carbondale. I'm forgetting his name right now, that they took at safety a couple seasons ago. They've got J.C. Horn at corner. Like, I think they've got some talent on that team. But when you look at sort of the offense, like, I'm a little worried about their offensive line. I don't think they're quite there yet. Miles Sanders is a good back, not a great back. And when you look at their wide receivers, I think they've got a lot of kind of like average guys. Like, I think they look a lot like the Chiefs, like in the receiving core right now. Like, I really love Jonathan Mingo. Loved him coming out. I think he could have a great NFL career. But, like, again, we're talking about right now. Like, if he gets it together week 8, like Christian Watson, like, that was too late for the Packers last year. So, like, I think Carolina is probably like a year away. And I'm gonna go ahead and take New Orleans. They've got Derek Carr down there now. They finally appear to be like pretty healthy as a team. Hopefully it can stay that way. They'll be getting Alvin Kamara back in week 4. I think he's gonna have a big year. So I'm gonna go ahead and take. Do I think Olave will have a good game today? I hope so, man. I hope so. I like Chris Olave. But yeah, no, I think the Saints are gonna win the South. And then lastly in the West, I'm gonna go ahead and take the San Francisco 49ers. And I think they're the only team that's coming out of there. I hate to be negative about the Seahawks, but like I hate to write off Geno Smith, man, but we'll see if he writes back this year. Like, I love him, man, and I love watching that team play. Just a bunch of underdogs on that team, dude. Like, they're fun. Like, their give a shit factor is through the roof. Like, they try incredibly hard, and they willed themselves to the playoffs last year. I just don't think it's gonna happen again. Tyler Higbee or Evan Ingram? I'd go Tyler Higbee. Damian Pierce or Brian Robinson? I'd go Damian Pierce. Cam Akers or Javonte Williams? That's a tough one. Let me go ahead and go Javonte Williams on that one. I'll go Javonte Williams. So yeah, man, those are my predictions. I think now for the Super Bowl, what we'll do right before we get to the picks here is I'll take my team out of the NFC. I think it's going to be the Niners. And out of the AFC, I am going to go ahead and take The Buffalo Bills. I think that's the Buffalo Bills' year. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to beat the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. That's my hot take prediction, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get to the picks now. I don't have the picks music. That's like kind of my thing on the show. If you guys have watched in years past, I get really frustrated whenever TJ doesn't play the picks music. So I'm going to have to make the picks without the music this week. But here we go. Game 1 of 7. Tennessee on the road, taking on New Orleans. The line is -3. I'm going to go ahead and take the Tennessee Titans in this one. -3 means they think the teams are completely even. I think Tennessee's going to be able to run the football, and I'll take Tennessee in the points. Big Web is also going Tennessee. Nick Yale is taking New Orleans. Tolly's taking New Orleans. And TJ, the new dad, he's taking Tennessee. So a pretty even split on the panel for that game. Again, I guess I should show you guys the overall standings last season. Big Web was 78, 63, and 5 against the spread last year in our show picks. TJ was 68, 72, and 6. Nick was 68, 75, and 3. I had a down year, man. 66, 77, and 3. And then Tally was last place. He has to sign the board. 64, 79, and 3. On the dogs last year, Tolly was actually 12 and 8. Big Web was 11 and 9. TJ was 500, and me and Nick were under. And in the aces of the week, those are basically our locks. If you guys don't know, it's presented by Aces Wild. So we call it our ace of the week. And Big Web was 12 and 8 in those, and the rest of us were actually under 500. So our locks are maybe not locks after all. So let's move on. San Francisco's -2 on the road against Pittsburgh. And this is one of my sneaky favorite picks of the weekend. I like Pittsburgh here at home as an underdog. Mike Tomlin, home underdog, week 1. I love this Pittsburgh pick, and I just gave it the kiss of death saying I loved it. But like, this is a classic Tomlin spot. 49ers lost week 1 last year, if you remember. Now, it was a monsoon, and they were on the road. They lost last season to the Chicago Bears, who ended up with the number 1 pick. So like, there's a lot of overreactions that happen, and so I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a bit of a value here. I'm going with Pittsburgh plus the 2 points, and hopefully they can pay it off for me. Big Web is going San Francisco in that game. So is Nick and TJ. They are going with the San Francisco 49ers. Tolly, however, is with me. He is going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thoughts on the Bosa contract before we move to the next game? No brainer, man. He's like one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. That's an easy one. You do that 10 times out of 10. Yeah, man. And great that they've got him back for week 1. Bad for my pick, maybe. But for the 49ers, that's great news. Miami traveling west across the continental U.S. to take on the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. The Chargers are -3 points in that game. I'm going to go ahead and take the L.A. Chargers to cover the spread. I really am. I'm big on the Chargers. I think Brandon Staley is like... I think he might get fired, honestly. Like, unless they have a huge year, I think he might get fired and Kellen Moore might become the next head coach. That's the kind of hot take I'm squatting on for that team this season. But I think their offense is going to be a lot better because of Kellen Moore. And so I'm going to go ahead and take them at home against a Miami Dolphins team that is making a long trip back into from the Eastern time zone to the Western time zone. It's a long travel for them, weird body clock game for the Miami Dolphins. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Chargers minus the field goal. Big Web is going to roll with Miami. Nick Yale is going to take the Chargers, and Tolly and TJ are both rolling with Miami. So, you know what's interesting about this? It's been a 3-2 split on the panel through each of these first 3 games, which goes to show you that the parity in the NFL, man, it is king. So we move on to the Sunday Night Football game. Dallas on the road, -3.5 points at the Meadowlands, taking on the Giants. I'm going to go ahead and take the Dallas Cowboys in this one. I think the Giants are a really tough opponent. It's not one that I have like a crazy amount of confidence in, but I think Dallas is going to have a big year. I picked them to win the division a couple minutes ago. I think that with their offensive skill pieces, if they get out in front of New York's not really built to come back and overcome like these 14, 17 point deficits, right? Like I think they kind of have to play from in front, and I don't think the Cowboys are going to allow them to do that. So Big Web is rolling with the Giants though. Nick Yale is going to take Dallas. TJ is going to take Dallas, but Tolly is going to take the Giants. So again, a 3-2 split on the panel. And before we move to the next game, Deontay Johnson or Javonte Williams. You know what, man? I don't know if it's PPR or not, but I think I'd roll to Javonte Williams. I'm a big believer in the talent out of North Carolina. He's healthy now. Why don't you give him a shot? Hopkins or Akers start at flex. I'll go ahead and take DeAndre Hopkins in that one. Sanders or Madison. Go ahead and fire up Alexander Madison going up against the Bucs today. He's should get all the work. It'd be interesting to see the workload Ty Chandler has in that Minnesota backfield today. But yeah, fire up Alexander Madison, man. He was sort of filled into that Cook role last year, so if he does that again this year, that's going to be a pretty great pick. Nick Chubb over 78. What are they playing? The Bengals at home? Man, that's tough, dude. That's like, I mean, I could totally see it, but I think it's risky. I'll just go with that, Andre. It makes me nervous. If you feel confident in it, roll it out there, brother. But it makes me nervous. McLaurin or Mostert? I'll go McLaurin. Flowers or Pickens? I'll go Pickens. Ayuk or Jamal Williams? Go Jamal Williams. Again, we've talked about, he's been in a lot of these. Like, I think that Jamal Williams is going to get a lot of work today. Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts. And by the way, I am not responsible. If you guys start who I say and they suck ass for you, that I take zero responsibility or culpability. That is the millennial way. Toilet Bowl. We are headed to Washington. Arizona on the road taking on the Commanders -6.5. I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm the only one on the panel taking Arizona. The rest of them are taking Washington in what would have been a clean sweep. But I'm on an island. It's an island game for me. And I think that this is a classic spot. Like, everybody's going to veer one way, and you always have these upsets week one. I'm just going to go ahead and veer the other way. Like, Arizona's going to be bad, for sure. But is Washington going to be that good? Like, I don't think Washington's a touchdown favorite. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll with the points and see where that lands us with the Cardinals and Commanders game. McLaurin or Godwin? I'll go Godwin in that one. And yes, you should play Ramondre Stevenson, unless you have crazy good options. Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts. Come on. Don't be silly. So now we move to the underdog picks of the week. New York Jets is going to be my pick, +2.5. They are on Monday Night Football taking on the Buffalo Bills at home. I think that the energy in that stadium is going to be absolutely unreal. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out and play a really great game. I think that entire team is going to be so motivated against their divisional rival and like the team out of that division with the target on their back last couple of seasons. I think that they get this win in a spot where they're going to be a little bit higher energy-wise than Buffalo. I'm going to take the New York Jets, +2.5. Big Web is going to take the Giants and double up on the New York Giants. They are +3.5 as home dogs. I actually, I don't hate that pick. I went Dallas. I still think Dallas is going to win that football game and hopefully cover the hook. But yeah, New York Giants, home dogs, divisional game. Don't hate it. Cleveland is going to be Nick Yale's pick, +1.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Tolly is taking the Raiders, +3.5 against the Denver Broncos. Clearly not a believer in the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson experiment. If I had to guess, I'll have to get his opinion on that next week. And TJ is the only one on the panel who's already in the green. He picked the Detroit Lions before the Thursday night football game, +4.5, and they won outright. So congrats to TJ, new father today, and his Lions are 1-0, man. So now we move on to our locks, our Aces of the Week, presented by Aces Wild. Head on over to Aces Wild, North Main Street in Columbia. Go ahead and if you're in the St. Louis area, check those guys out. They are awesome. Have a great bar, plenty of TVs, and it's a great time. So I'm gonna go ahead for my Ace of the Week. Take the Cincinnati Bengals. They're only -1.5, and they're playing a Browns team, in my opinion, that's the worst team in the division. I think Cincinnati's the most talented team in the division. So I will bet on that talent here in week one and take them to cover this very small spread of just 1.5. Big Web is going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars -3.5 on the road against Indianapolis. Nick Yale is thinking the same thing. Our resident Jags fan on the panel is taking the Jags -3.5 in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. And then Tolly is going to take the Seattle Seahawks minus 4.5 points. Who's Seattle playing this week? Let me go back to the scores. Sorry, guys. Seattle Seahawks. Somebody can help me out in the comments. Rams. They're playing the Rams. They're minus 4.5 points against the Rams. They're... Wait. Is that right? Yeah, Seattle's minus 4.5. He has them plus 4.5. So, okay. Seattle minus 4.5 points against the Rams. That is Nick Tolly's pick. And then TJ's rolling with Jacksonville also. So 3 of the guys on the panel love the Jacksonville Jaguars this week and took them as their lock of the week. So, I don't know if any of you guys partake out there. The panel seems to be on the Jags today. Najee or Jamal Williams. We'll answer a couple more of these as we approach kickoff week 1. Guys, this is so exciting, man. I'm a huge football nerd, and we are here. I would go Najee Harris. I have Najee Harris and Jamal Williams on my fantasy team, but I've got to start them all because I went Jamar Chase fell into my lap at 4, guys. Can you freaking believe that? So I got Jamar Chase at 4 and then got CeeDee Lamb on the way back because all the running backs that had been pushed down got taken. So then CeeDee Lamb got pushed to me. So I ended up with like Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, then Najee Harris, and I think I took Mark Andrews on the way back in round 4. But okay. Juwan Johnson or Luke Musgrave in your opinion? You know what, man? Let me flex my Packers bias. I'd start Luke Musgrave. I legit had an internal conversation whether or not to start him over Likely and I ended up going Likely. But I think the Packers, like, they're pretty green offensively. Like, it's tough to trust them in fantasy. But like Juwan Johnson, man, like, what are we talking about? Like, do we expect him to even like get like 5 targets in that game? Like, I think it's possible Luke Musgrave beats like Sam Laporta's record that he set on Thursday. I think it's possible Luke Musgrave gets 10 targets today. Christian Watson's out. Romeo Doubs is on a snap count. Like, Jaden Reed, the rookie, is likely going to be the top pass catching target with like Samori Toure. And by all accounts, Musgrave had an incredible training camp. Like, he's somebody, guys, like, just season long, keep him on your radar, put him on your watch list to maybe pick him up. Because if he has a couple good games, like, I think he could like buck the tight end trend. And I know rookie tight ends are shit normally, but like, I think he could buck that trend. Lockett or London at flex? I'd go ahead and go Tyler Lockett week 1. That's a tough one though, man. Wouldn't blame me if you started Drake London. Herbert, Gibson, Deion Jackson, Khalil Herbert, Antonio Gibson, or Deion Jackson. I'll take Khalil Herbert. I'm a Khalil Herbert stan. I thought he was better than David Montgomery last year. So yeah, I think Khalil Herbert's gonna surprise some people this year. Olave, or I'm guessing you meant to say Cooper. Vibe with me. Go Olave there. Yeah, and the chat's telling. See, I know we've got some smart football fans on this show. From the 50, guys, go ahead and follow us on the TikTok. Follow us on YouTube. You can follow TJ at Weber Bets everywhere on social media. You can follow me on X, Twitter, whatever the hell they're calling it these days, at Zach_Zook. You can find me on Instagram, Zookie Cookie. I need to probably like make sure I've got the same name. Maybe change my Instagram name to make it easier for people to find me. But yeah, give me a follow on X. I'm more active on there, and you can follow me on TikTok also. Najee, Pierce, or Swift? I'd go Najee. Well, you know what, man? I'd maybe go Pierce. D-Hop or Cooks? D-Hop. AR or Cousins? Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, man. I think Aaron Rodgers has a bounce back. Like, as a Packers fan, I think he's gonna have a way better year than he had for us last year. I'll just say that. I'll go Sutton. Again, I think the volume with Sutton is too much to pass up week 1. Wouldn't be surprised if D-Hop or London go crazy. And outscore him. But, like, I think the volume with Sutton is too much to pass up. Lockett or Debo. Lions took care of business. Yeah, they sure did, brother. They sure did. Watson or Tua. Tough one. I go Watson. The running ability puts him over the top for me. Juwan Johnson or Luke Musgrave, your honest opinion. I said, man, I'd go Luke Musgrave. I think he might get 10 targets today. I know that might be that take might be a little spicy, but, like, who are they throwing the ball to? Like, they're going to have to throw the ball. Like, I take Eagles defense. Raheem Mostert or Rashad White. I would go Raheem Mostert. Till the Bucs offensive line proves they can run the football, I'm out on the Bucs backfield. I had Rashad White and Leonard Fournette last year, and they just disappointed me. I'm a Packers fan, so I'm having such a hard time. Yeah, dude, fuck it. Fire up Musgrave, man. Do it. Then you can at least root him on at 3:30 today when they take on the Bears. And it's the Bears defense. Like I know they're going to be better this year. They signed T.J. Edwards from the Eagles, and they got Tremaine Edmonds from the Bills to play in the middle. So like in theory they should be better at guarding the tight ends. But again, I think the Packers are scheming up some stuff for Musgrave today. He's going to be heavily involved in the passing offense. Like I think the projection of like 4 points for him is a bit low. Now again, like they're not going to be a high volume offense. I'll tell you that. So like he's going to need to make the most of his opportunities when he gets them, because again, I just don't think that offense like early on September, like with Jordan Love kind of figuring out, I don't think they're going to be super fancy friendly, except unless you got Aaron Jones. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about him and Jawan Johnson. I think Musgrave's got the higher ceiling this week. Lower floor, I grant you, but higher ceiling. Njoku or Jawan Johnson. I would go ahead and ride David Njoku, man. I'll go ahead and ride Njoku. Problem with the Browns, man, is like, don't they have like that other like rookie tight end they took like a year or two ago? And they had a ton of them. Now I know Hooper I think has moved on, but like they throw to a lot of different tight ends. Like yeah, Njoku's like the tight end one over there, but like I would get so frustrated watching them throw to the other tight ends. That would be my only worry with Njoku, but I would fire him up. Packers lose. Chris Miller, we don't appreciate your negativity in this Packers stream. Nah, just kidding. Yeah, they might, man. What's the line on that game? We didn't have it in our picks. Surprisingly so. Surprised Nick, our producer, did not put the Packers game in the picks, because I think that's one of the most, now I'm biased, but like it's one of the bigger rivalries in football. I'm surprised. It's an interesting game too, because like you've got the Packers starting a new era, and then you've got the Bears and Justin Fields who like expect to take a huge step. Yeah, Bears are favorites, only by 1.5, but they are favorites. Breece Hall in the flex, or Thielen, Elijah Moore, or Tank Dell. I wouldn't overthink this one, man. Just roll Breece Hall. Just roll Breece Hall. I know he's not going to get all the work, but he's better than those other options, I think. He's a safer option. Javonte Williams. Now, here's the one thing. He doesn't play till Monday night, right, Ronnie? So, like, you got to make this decision earlier. But, like, if you have a guy, now Thielen's Panthers, Elijah Moore Browns, Tank Dell Texans, so I think they all play pretty early. But, like, if you had a scenario where, like, maybe one of those guys, one of those 3 wide receivers or whatever, like, if you're between, like, Elijah Moore and Thielen and they played later at night, you could kind of wait and see how your matchup goes and see, like, do I need, like, 20 points or do I need, like, 8? Like, because if it's 8, like, I think you, like, start Breece Hall. Like, he's got the higher floor. Like, Thielen could get you 2 points. But you know, you're not going to have that luxury, it doesn't look like. James Conner or Lockett flex. I go James Conner, man. I know that now I did say that they're going to run into the teeth of that Washington front four, but I think he's a little safer than Lockett. He's going to get all that work. And he seems to be the lone Cardinal that's like totally productive, like regardless of like the shitstorm going on around him at the quarterback position. Mostert or Ayuk? Tough one, but I'd go Mostert. Ramondre or Brian Robinson? I would take Ramondre. I really love Brian Robinson as a talent, but until we see how the workload plays out, and honestly, it's probably going to be a lot like it was last year. Like, Brian Robinson's going to be first and second down, with Antonio Gibson stealing a carry here or there, and then it's going to be Antonio Gibson on third down. It's going to be incredibly frustrating for fantasy players, I think. and to add to that fact, it's not like they're going to be scoring 40 points a game. So it's like they're probably going to score, 3 touchdowns, 2.5 touchdowns a game on average. And so, like, you just got to hope that that's Brian Robinson or Antonio Gibson. Like, you know, Godwin or Sutton. I think I'd roll Sutton. Again, the volume. It's just the volume. Williams or Sutton. That's a tough one. Why don't you go ahead and take Sutton? Raiders' pass defense has not been good in recent history. I'd be lying if I said I'm super locked into, like, their depth chart. Some of them I can go down and tell you, like, their corners 1 through 4, but I cannot do that with the Las Vegas Raiders. More of an NFC guy. Dak or Richardson? Let's go Dak Prescott on that one. I think that's a safer pick. I also think too, like, Dak might be like a value in fantasy this year. He's drafted right around like 10, 11. I think he has a shot to finish a little higher than that, like 7, 8. Because think about it, like, Mike McCarthy's calling the plays, so like I think that they're going to pass a little more. Like McCarthy with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, like historically, like they passed a lot. And he's got a lot of weapons to do just that. Like they've got Ferguson at tight end. Like he's not bad. Of course, on the outside, they've got CeeDee Lamb. They added Brandon Cooks. They've got Michael Gallup coming back. Now, please, Michael Gallup, if that guy could stay healthy, man, he'd be a stud. But they've got some players on that team, man. So like I think Dak could surprise some people, or at least like put up some stats. Like he might throw some picks, or like the Cowboys might still want to, take him out to pasture at season's end if he loses some close games. But I think for fantasy, I think he's going to put up some numbers. Hawkinson or Waller? I'd go Hawkinson in this game. I think he's a little safer. Najee or Brian Robinson? I'd take Najee just because of the workload. Again, you're probably noticing a theme, but like one thing, like if it's close, like lean on the workload and the volume. Like it's simple math. You take the emotion out of it, and you just take the guy that's going to have more opportunity to get it done. Should I add Mark Andrews back up? That's what I did, man. That's what I did. I had Mark Andrews also, and I had to add Likely. And the reason I did that though is because I saw Likely was pretty productive when he was out last year. So, not ideal week 1. Stop babbling. You know what? Don't add Isaiah Likely. Period. Fuck you. Browns or Cincy, Waller or Jawan. I'll go Browns. I'll go Waller, and then Cooks or Bateman. Why don't you fire up Brandon Cooks? Fire up Brandon Cooks. I think that's a little safer. Ravens pass it. Like, Bateman has not had the start that I thought he was going to have. Hawkinson and Stevenson for Waller and Aaron Jones. Yeah, dude, I'd do that because I think Aaron Jones is a better player than Stevenson in fantasy, and I think Hawkinson and Waller's like pretty close. So yeah. Rashad Penny or Gus Edwards? That's a tough one. Battle of the backups. Why don't you go Rashad Penny? The Eagles love giving 9 different running backs the ball. So go ahead and fire up Rashad Penny. Mostert, Dylan, start 2. Retype that, Bodine. I think you meant to type a third guy. Geno or Watson? I'll go Watson. Marquise Brown or Odell? If Marquise Brown plays like the full complement, go ahead and take Marquise. I think they'll probably have to throw a lot. Higgins or Godwin? I'll go Higgins for sure. Waddle or Metcalf? I'll go. Again, I want your guys' fantasy teams. You're deciding between Jalen Waddle and DK Metcalf to start. Did you go 0 RB? Probably go DK Metcalf. Rashad Penny's out today. Thank you, Nate, for the update, bro. That is the one hazard. So I'll tell you, I was up working for PFF late last night till close to 4 a.m. And so then when I got up and had to fire up the show because we're doing it obviously a little different today. I'm running the entire thing by myself, so I don't get to check the latest injury stuff. So Rashad Penny out. Don't start him then. Likely Kincaid or Jawan. Oh, tough one. Why don't you go ahead and go Isaiah Likely. Javonte or Brian Robinson? I'll go ahead and take Javonte. You said you had... Oh, man, I lost my spot. Do you think Stevenson will play? Last report, I thought that he was going to go. If he doesn't go, I'd stay away from the Patriots' backfield. I would go DJ Moore over Mike Williams, Grant. Jaden Reed or Marvin Mims? Now, that's a question because Marvin Mims might be the second pass catcher on the Broncos today, but Jaden Reed might be the first on the Packers. I'll go Jaden Reed. Swift or Bateman? I'll go DeAndre Swift. I drafted Swift. I'm starting Swift today. So hopefully he has a good game. DJ Moore, Mike Williams. Yeah, DJ Moore. I already answered that one. Debo or Kirk? I'll go Debo on that one. I think Debo's gonna have a rebound year. I had him a lot higher than than consensus throughout the drafts. So I ended up with a bunch of Debo Samuel on my fantasy teams this year. Likely or Ingram? I'll go ahead and take Likely. I feel like I'm answering Likely to a lot of these questions. Is that internal optimism? Hopkins or Pickens? I'll take Hopkins. Oh, okay, Bodine. Rashad White, Dylan, Mostert, pick 2. I'd go Rashad White and Mostert. I mean, think about it. Like, you've got 2 guys that are starters and 1 guy that's a backup. Start the 2 starters. Burrow or Cousins, Burrow. I mean, Bucks defense is still very talented. Like, I wonder if they'll play with the same edge now that, like, Brady's gone and they expect to suck. But, like, that defense, especially early on, like, they don't know that they suck yet. So, like, I think the Bucks defense is actually, like, pretty decent. I think that might be a pretty close game. That's another one, like, guys, like, if you're looking for picks. And that line's come down. Like, it was about, like, a touchdown, like 6.5 points. It's now only Vikings -4. Gallup or Jefferson. You have to specify which Jefferson. Because I'm not drawing that at the moment. Start Diggs, obviously, if he plays. Dalvin or Najee. I'd go Najee. Burrow or Cousins. I already said Burrow. Dalvin or Najee. I'd go Najee Harris. Allen or Fields. Go Allen. Mike Thomas or Mike Pittman Jr. I'd go Michael Thomas today, actually. I think higher volume offense there in New Orleans. I'd go Christian Kirk. I'd go Mike Williams over London. Allen, I already said Logan over Fields. Jamal Williams or Ramondre Stevenson. I'd take Jamal Williams. Dotson or Amari Cooper. No, that's a tough one. I think you got to roll Amari Cooper on that one. Jay Cook or Herbert. Oh, Khalil Herbert. Man, I'm not really a believer in the. I know there's a lot of hype on James Cook this year. I'll kind of believe it with the Bills running backs when I see it, man. Like, is he just gonna do what Devin Singletary did last year, which is valuable, right? Like, if it's not the worst flex in the world, but like, I think you're drafting him with a little higher hopes than that. I take Herbert today. Bijan Robinson, Akers, J.K. Dobbins. Choose 2. Akers and Dobbins would be my picks. Keenan Allen or Godwin. I go Keenan Allen. Flowers or Pickens. I go Pickens. Waddle or Sutton. I go Waddle. Wow, you guys are rapid firing in. All right, I think we are going to cut it off here in a couple minutes as we're about ready for kickoff here. And I still got to pick up the Jags defense. So we're going to have to end the stream. Mostert, Walker, Rashad White. This will be my walk-off. If it's Kenneth Walker, do Kenneth Walker. And I lied. I'll tell you, Pierce, London, we're rapid firing them. Walker, I already said. Evans or Evans. Pierce. There we go. You guys enjoy the games today. I'm hopping off of here. Thank you for joining us and bearing with us week 1. I had to do the entire thing by myself. Normally we were in studio. We've got the whole panel going. It's going to be super fun. Check us out on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at From the 50. You can check me out at Zach_Zook. Or Zookie Cookie on TikTok. TJ Weber is Weber Bets everywhere. And Nick Yell, you can find him also. He is with the Book It Sports crew. If you guys are big sports gamblers, he is with those guys full time, and they're on the way back from Tuscaloosa, so that's why he's not on the show today. So yeah, we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Good luck. Hope all your bets cash, and I hope all your fantasy matchups go well. So we'll see you guys later.